Welcome back. Alright, time to move on. Let's figure this out. This could be where the mother resides. It could be the final episode. The nests.
Now the pieces fall into place. The Grey Warden comes, the instrument of the Father. Oh, and the Father, he is but a shadow. Oh, how my children protect me. How they love me.
I have told you many times, Mother. I am not the Father. I am simply the Architect.
It does not change what you are. You took away that beautiful music, left us with nothing.
It was a mistake to free you. It has left you with madness. I am truly sorry.
But perhaps the Warden would like to hear how it was that the Father began the Blight. You want the source of the Archdemon? The one who brought all our kind to the surface? Here he is!
Well, paint me green and call me a turnip.
There it is then. Unfortunate. I did find the old god Athemiel, but I did not wish another blight. I attempted my joining ritual. My hope was that this would free all DarkSpawn, unravel the curse from its source. Alas, I was unlucky. It is not the way of the Grey Wardens to do what must be done. In the name of combating the Blight, the Blight is a menace, both for your people and for mine. To end it requires sacrifice and risk.
And how lonely the Father was. How terrible to be the outcast, the outsider. He claims he wishes the Darkspawn to be free, but what he truly wants is to correct them.
However you feel about what I have done, the Mother is mad. She cannot be allowed to...
Begone, Shadow! Any more than you already have. And now the hero is alone. Oh, the Mother knows your ways. You will not let her be, no, not after what she's done. So it must end. It all must come crashing down! Perhaps we will hear the song again when we die. Oh, let it come. Let it come.
Ah! Wow, he died so quickly. We need to get lithium down. Come on, get in the socket. Really? use that. You use that. Oh my god. Paused it. Okay. The death cloud really is obscuring it all. This area, the thing is probably going to get muted anyway because of copyright claims. After that, the remaining DarkSpawn forces scattered and fled back to Thedas. Raids and Araminth came to an abrupt end. The Architect apparently kept his word, gathering his remaining disciples to follow the rest of their kind back underground. Those grunts in other nations were here of the Architect's contingents, but were never to track him down despite years of efforts. Some with the Order have claimed that the Architect's survival guarantees another blight, and yet the deep roads have lately been quieter than any can recall. Most have resigned, has only decided that it is now in the Maker's hands. Word of the Grey One's heroic salvation of Amaranth spread like firewood when the magnitude of the losses at Vigil's Keep came to light. Sympathy drove generous donations from all over Ferelden into the region's coffers. Amaranth was sure to our former glory within a year. Vigil's Keep in 5. Because of the Warden's support for law and order in Amaranth, Constable and his men were able to distribute the smuggler's goods to the battered survivors in the grueling days that followed the DarkSpawn defeat. With the war devastated many farms in the Arling, all agree the loss would have been greater without soldiers. For protection, the farm holders developed a certain reverence for the Warden Commander, as well as an ongoing reliance on the Grey Wardens for order and protection. Dirk, one of the pranksters behind the Blight orphan scam, was fortunate enough to survive the Battle of Amaranth. The unconditional generosity of the Blight Orphan's mysterious benefactor inspired him to establish a legitimate charity dedicated to children orphaned in the attack. His sweetheart Melissa eventually bore him 2 rascals. Vigil's Keep stood alone against the horde of DarkSpawn. The Mother's forces outnumbered the Vigil's defenders many times over, but the sturdy dwarven walls proved impervious to any boulder and ogre could throw. The Vigil's soldiers, clad in silverite, each felled a dozen darkspawn before they died. The vigil held one night, then two, then a week, and eventually the attacking horde broke upon her walls. The keep developed an almost mythic reputation, and the few survivors immortalized in song and legend. Peace allowed the wardens to replenish their numbers. Soon Vigil's keep bore a capable army with wardens at its core. From their ranks emerged new heroes to challenge threats to Ameth and all of Ferelden. Through taxes and levies, the Vigil was rebuilt. Years later, Vordric Levin stood on the battlements and pronounced that the defenders were acceptable. He would never speak more highly of any human engineering. Dark whispers of conspiracy against the wardens fell silent after a rash of accidents and disappearances culminated in the apparent suicide of Ben Amarith. The nobles of Amarith remained dutiful. Some even suggest they were coward into sting. Among many legends, the Vigil spawned was one of the great heroes of the next age, a sheep herder turned soldier by the name of Sir Alec the Valiant, who eventually founded an order of knights that lasted 1,000 years. Dwarf and Glover further refined his lithium sand explosives, but left the warden's employ after Quinari mercenaries tried to assassinate him, although the dwarven bombardier took his secrets with him. They learned say he left clues for others to follow his footsteps. The Vigil soldiers wearing the distinctive silverite armor that Master Waycraft had come to be known as the Silver Order. Under the tutelage of the Warden, the Silver Order developed into one of Ferelden's most revered military forces, a lasting memory of the Vigil's famous commander. With Felena and the Architect gone from the region, Pilgrim's Path began to see traffic again. The massacre of militiamen and merchants, however, led to hostilities between the neighboring human settlements and any Danish clans that passed by. One human villager soon kidnapped and murdered Dallas Shard. The clans reacted by giving the Wending Wood a wide berth, but both sides knew that at some point the elves would return for revenge. A few years after Calharel was emptied of darkspawn, Osmir began sending expeditions to rediscover the knowledge of smithing that had been lost within the Thag. Okay. Eventually, House Helmi decided that it was too important to be abandoned. At a tremendous cost of dwarven lives, they cleared the tunnels leading to Calharel of all darkspawn, making the road between Ozimir and the fortress safe again. Calharel was reclaimed for Ozimir once and for all. As promised, Vordric and Dworkin presented Ozimir's Shaper with a stone marker that told of how Calharel's castles had taken up arms against the darkspawn. The commander of the Grey was invited to Ozimir as a guest of honor at a feast commemorating the defenders of Calharel. The Shaper read the names of the castles off the marker, then presided over a ceremony to return them to the stone as befitting warriors of their stature. Sigra and the sole survivor of the Legion of the Dead left Calharel for the Deep Road. Several years later, wardens waging a battle deep underground reported encountering a perky dwarf fighting alone and muttering odd things about her own death. In time, the Elling began to forget the tales of the apparitions in the Black Marsh, but ever so slowly settlers drifted into the region. Scholars said the veil was still thin and thus the area was still dangerous, but the people only cared about their no longer frightened whispers in the shadows. The village was slowly rebuilt. Twice the Baroness' mansion was rebuilt and occupied, once by a wealthy merchant, another time by an Orlesian mage. Both died mysteriously afterwards. The mansion was torn down completely, and the site left untouched. The survivors of the siege of Vigil's Keep hailed Anders and his magic for holding back hundreds of the assaulting darkspawn. In the ensuing victory celebration, the men dragged the mage to the fire to engage him in a drinking contest. Anders lost. Anders remained with the Grey Ones a few years longer, training the Order's next generations, but when the Circle Tower called on him to deliver a lecture on the nature of the architect, much to the Templars' dismay, Anders told the commander of the Grey Wardens that his time with the Wardens was over. And yet, not too much later, Anders returns to the Order, ever after the Wardens were his home and his lasting companions. Villa never saw her clan again, but neither did she forsake her Dalish culture, nor her sharp tongue, nor her quick temper. After several years in the Grey Wardens, Villa disappeared one day. Most surmise that she left for the Deep Road to resume the search for her sister, but no one knows for sure. Over the next years, Nathaniel dedicated himself to the Order and to clearing the blemishes of his family's name. After saving Tyrion Fergus Klausland from a bandit attack, a portion of Amaranth was returned to the Hells. Nathaniel passed the holding to Delilah's son, and when a new castle was eventually built there. A statue of Nathaniel was erected in its courtyard. Justice fought valiantly at the Battle of Witch's Keep, but before the victory, Hornstounder DarkSpawn sought to remove Kristoff's head. It was, of course, unclear whether the spirit of justice perished or simply departed. At the least, Kristoff's wife Ura was finally able to claim her husband's ashes. Ogren continued to regale young warden recruits with tales of his prowess. In both battle and bed, his drinking games prompted at least one recruit to declare that she'd rather reattempt the joining than lift another mug. Felsi returned to Vigil's Keep several times to see Ogren, usually bringing their toddler as well. Ogren's inability to act serious wore on her, however, and her visits dwindled. Then Salt told her that if Ogren missed her or his child, he never showed it. As for the Saviour of Rodden, he did not remain as commander of the Greyland for long. The DarkSpawn were no longer a real concern in the Blight. Well, truly ever, it was time for him to move on. Some years later, the Saviour of Rodden vanished entirely. Nobody knows for what purpose he departed yet. Neither does anyone think his tale is complete. Achievement unlocked. Okay. There are other DLC that we can do, but I want to move on to Dragon Age 2. So I'm going to end the episode here. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, let me know in the comments below. I'll make a decision if I move on to number 2 or if I go and do another DLC. I kind of just want to play another DLC by myself type thing. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.